Steve Merrill back here with a big game breakdown for Tuesday night, January the 9th in the NBA. We're going to look at the first game on the board, just 5 games Tuesday night. And this is the first one on the betting rotation, goes at 7 o'clock Eastern. Sacramento Kings at the god-awful Detroit Pistons, who are now 3-33 straight up on the season. Question is there any value now with Detroit as a big double-digit home dog? Just blindly playing these double-digit home dogs at this point of the season has been profitable for decades in the NBA. It's not something I look to fade. And by the way, Pistons have covered 5 of their last 7 games overall. So even though they've only gone 1-6 straight up during that span, they have been playing competitive basketball. But I don't think I want to be on Detroit tonight. If you're going to play this, I would recommend laying it with the Sacramento Kings for a couple reasons. First of all, Sacramento should be in a focused spot after losing at home to New Orleans on Sunday. It was the end of a 4-game homestand. They're now on the road for 5 straight games, and I would think they would want to start things off right, especially with games on deck tomorrow night at Charlotte, and then a couple nights later on Friday at Philly. They got Milwaukee and Phoenix after that. This is not going to be an easy road trip. So tonight's game in Detroit and tomorrow in Charlotte are the most winnable. And for that reason, I don't think they take their foot off the gas. Also, really bad defensive efforts in that 4 home game stand for Sacramento. They gave up 49% shooting or worse in all 4 games, 51% or worse in 3 of the 4. So I definitely would not talk you off the over tonight in this Detroit-Sacramento game. Yet the line has dropped nearly a couple baskets down to 240, and that's because Cade Cunningham is going to be out for the Pistons. He's their leading scorer, over 20 points a game. He did play at Denver, but only had 3 points the other night, left a leg injury, a knee strain. He is not going to play tonight. They will be without their leading scorer, so that's why this total is dropping, but I don't think it's going to matter. The Pistons are also a really bad defensive team. This team has given up 51% shooting or worse in 4 of their last 5 games. And that's one of the reasons they had a ridiculously bad 28-game losing streak. Don't forget, Detroit started the season 2-1 straight up and then lost 28 straight. They got that rare win against Toronto at the end of December. They've dropped 4 straight since, and their defense has been awful. In fact, they've given up over 50% shooting in the majority of their games this season over the last couple of weeks during that losing streak. Overall, giving up 49% at home this year, over 122 points allowed. So even without their leading scorer, the defense is going to be really bad still. And I know teams sometimes step up without their top guy, but that's often because the opponent overlooks them. And once again, Sacramento coming off the loss and with a lot of big road games on deck, I don't think the Kings overlook this game. So Sacramento on the over would be my recommendation if you're going to play this early game at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on Tuesday.
Hey, everybody. Rob Vino here. Tuesday NBA slate big game breakdown. Going to feature Memphis at the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, we see the huge line movement here from Dallas, an opener of 4.5 all the way up to 8.5 now. Saw a 9 peak out a little bit ago here. Throughout the day, maybe we'll see even further movement. Certainly one of those games with Ja Morant out where you could see a little bit of a contrarian play on the Memphis side, but we're going to take a different approach to this one. Let's just start with Ja Morant. Torn labrum, out for the season. The team is 10-17 against the spread this season without Ja Morant. They did win in Phoenix Sunday with a huge fourth quarter, 35-18 fourth quarter, came from behind and beat the Phoenix Suns in that one. I'm going to look for a little bit of a different result here, but we're going to cut this one down to a first half play with the Mavericks, who are currently -4.5. Couple of reasons here. Memphis is the second worst first half team. Excuse me, they are the worst first half team against the spread in the NBA this season. 11-25 against the spread in the first half. The Mavericks have produced a small profit, 20-17 in the first half so far this season. Last 10 games, Memphis only 3-7 against the spread in the first half. And 8 of those were with Ja. The 2 that Ja didn't play, including Sunday when they won, they failed to win the first half. So again, 0-2 over the last 10 without Ja Morant, even though they've been winning lately, or at least the last couple on this road trip. Certainly no progress in first half success for these Memphis Grizzlies. This will be the final game of a 3-game road trip. Took 5 days or will take 5 days. They're looking to go 3-0, and head coach Taylor Jenkins likes what he sees out of his team right now. I will note, we have to definitely note the fact that all of the results without Ja Morant in the first half against the spread this season, even full game against the spread, a lot of those were also played without Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart now in the lineup. Obviously, I've taken that into consideration here. Still like Dallas first half minus the 4.5. Let's talk about a quick positive for the Dallas Mavericks because they too have had a huge personnel move, and that's the reinsertion of Kyrie Irving into this lineup since January 1st. Now, Kyrie's first game back, Dallas lost, but they've rattled off 3 straight in very, very convincing fashion, a couple against Portland, but they were huge blowouts in those games. During the course of the 3-game winning streak, Dallas in the last 3 is 3-0 in the first half, gotten off to good starts. Luka Doncic back for this one. I think there's a lot of pressure here on Marcus Smart defensively. I don't know which guy he will get assigned to, either Kyrie or Luka. Either way, it's a very difficult matchup for him here. I think Dallas probably can override this team offensively, at least in the first half. Don't want to go full game because it's difficult to trust Dallas in the 9-point range. And off of seeing Memphis's grit in the fourth quarter at Phoenix the other night with a 17-point fourth quarter win, don't want to take that huge chance to get backdoored, but do think first half, all indications point to Dallas being a good side here, minus the 4.5. So that's the way we're going to look. We're going to fade Memphis, who is the worst first half team against the spread in the NBA this year. And we're going to play on Dallas first half because since Kyrie's returned, they've rattled off 3 straight convincing first half. So that's the way we'll go here with this one. Memphis at Dallas tonight. Play the Mavericks first half, minus 4.5.
Steve Merrill back with a best bet of free play for you for today's NBA show on Tuesday. Just a quick reminder, there's a lot of college basketball tonight as well. I've got a 2-for-1 college basketball best bet special right now on my page, a 2-for-1 Tuesday night college best bet special in hoops on WagerTalk.com. And it's not too late to still lock in for a full year for over a 41% discount. All sports, all access for the next 365 days. I made this offer at the beginning of January. I wanted all of you to take a serious New Year's resolution and take a serious, consistent investment approach every day. And I know many of you got on board, finished off a fantastic bowl season with the best bet on Michigan last night, went 9-2 over the final couple weeks of the bowls. Yes, you missed that first week of January. Good news, though, is if you sign up now, you can still get a full year, 365 days for just over $3 a day. And that'll get all of the first week and a half of January 2025, which means you get through all of the bowls in the national championship next year. So not a bad time right now to lock up a full year of college football, pro football, college and pro basketball, and even Major League Baseball that's right around the corner. Works out to just over $3 a day. That's just over $1 per play for the next 365 days and nights. Promo code SM365. Check it out along with daily free plays. Don't forget about those free plays on my page right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at a free basketball play in the NBA today. I got those 2 college best bets, but let's look at a free NBA play for you for the show. And it's the late night game at 10:30 Eastern in LA. Going to look at over the total between the Lakers and Raptors, over the total. And this one's moved about 5 points from the opener, but I think there's still some value to go up and over this current total, as it looks like LeBron James will be playing tonight. He's listed as questionable, but we see props, and that's the big giveaway. When you see the props listed, he's likely to go. Anthony Davis is probable. Over 236, I think, has some value in this Raptors-Lakers game. Opened as low as 230, so there's a lot of early sharp money on the over, and I agree with that move. Raptors, of course, like the Knicks, were involved in that big trade a couple weeks ago, and the Knicks have been playing faster, higher-scoring basketball with their new lineup. Well, Toronto has as well. In fact, even before the trade deadline, Toronto was playing a little bit faster. The Raptors have now gone over in 5 of their last 6 games. Lakers like to play some fast up-tempo ball when they can as well. They've gone over 7 of their last 10. And this is the key to the NBA. You know, we're in the middle of the season. These little 5-10 game spurts, you can sometimes kind of get under the radar situations that are changing as the season progresses that the odds makers don't fully catch on to. And I think Toronto playing faster, more offensive basketball is something that's been lagging in the markets. And that's why they're 5-1 over their last 6. And more importantly, they're now 7-2 over their last 9. Lakers 7-3 over their last 10. Let's look at over the total tonight. Over 236, Raptors and Lakers. I think we get some good offensive flow and a fast pace between 2 teams that can put the ball in the hoop. And by the way, Toronto just playing excellent offensive basketball. They have shot 48% or better now in 6 of their last 7 games, really putting the ball in the hoop. And I think the new lineup is working for them, especially on the offensive side. So Raptors, Lakers over 236. Late tip-off at 10:30 Eastern tonight on Tuesday. And don't forget, 2-for-1 college basketball best bet special tonight. And don't forget about that all sports, all access promo. It's still available in daily free plays on my page right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Rob Vino here, WagerTalk.com. Best bet on the NBA slate with analysis coming up here right now. We're going to look at the Minnesota Timberwolves at Orlando Magic game. A little bit of a line move here today so far. We've seen Minnesota climb from 4.5 to 5. I believe in that line move. I'm going to play Minnesota here full game. And, at first glance, it doesn't appear to be the right way, considering the paths that these two teams are on right now. For the Orlando Magic, 8-2 against the spread last 10. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, 1-6 against the spread last 10. So kind of stepping in front of the Orlando train and hitching on to a train with only two of their wheels right now in the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I love the matchup here, and so much of the NBA games are, or so many of the NBA games are matchup specific. And in this one, with Orlando being so dependent upon huge play out of their front line, Minnesota negates the front line of Orlando. One of the very few teams that can come at them with a front line featuring Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert that stacks up with Paolo Banchero and company here. And, Orlando suffered some key injuries here, most notably Franz Wagner recently, that hurts the front line situation. Wendell Carter's been out for a while, but they're not the same Orlando Magic interior team that they've been. And I think Minnesota can take huge advantage here. I want to take a look at the scheduling too, because aside from the matchups on the floor, where again, I talked about the front court. If we go to the backcourt, any backcourt that features Anthony Edwards is going to be A-OK. So I think Minnesota holds fundamental matchup edges in this game. Their bench lines up very well with a thin Orlando bench. So with the fundamentals pointing towards Minnesota, let's take a look at the schedule here. The Magic are in an interesting situation in the fact that they're in their first home game back off what's been a staggered 4 games for them. On the road 4-2 before they came home just now, and stuffed in between was a home game against New Orleans. So it's home to road, back home. Always like to play teams in their fade teams in their first home game after being on the road. This was not an extensive road trip for Orlando, so some of that dissipates. But the fact that they've been back and forth over the course of their last 4 games, I think has an effect here on the Orlando Magic. The other side of the coin is the Timberwolves, who are on a 5-game road swing. This is the 3rd game, 1-1 so far. You take a look at what's ahead of them, and tomorrow night they have a very difficult game at Boston. And then on Friday, they play at Indiana. A win here, and I do believe Minnesota will go after this win with full motivation and focus to try and secure a winning road trip, because if they get up to 2-1 here and you have Boston, Indiana on deck, even a loss at Boston, the Indiana game Friday now takes on a whole different meaning with Tyrese Halliburton injured. So they have a possibility to get off of this road trip with a winning record if they win tonight. If they don't win tonight, probably don't have a winning road trip. So this is going to be a big game in my eyes for Minnesota, despite the fact that they have played bad against the spread over the course of their last 7. That one win was a road trip opener, the first game of this road swing at Houston, where they dominated 122-95. I don't know that it'll be a 27-point win, but I think it'll be more than a 5-point win here. So we're going to take the fundamentals. We're going to take the scheduling aspect, put it all together, and play Minnesota here as our best bet for the day, -5 over Orlando.